In the bustling research facility of Quantum Edge Technologies, Hannah Kim stood motionless, her dark eyes fixed on the computer screen. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows across the nearly empty laboratory. Outside, the city of Seoul hummed with early morning traffic, but inside, a storm was brewing. Hannah's fingers traced the intricate lines of code that represented years of her life's work. The quantum communication algorithm she had developed was more than just a technological breakthrough. It was her entire world. Each line represented countless sleepless nights, missed family gatherings, and sacrificed personal relationships. 3 years ago, when David Park first approached her with a collaborative research proposal, she had been excited. He was a senior engineer from Stellar Horizon Corporation, a company known for pushing the boundaries of technological innovation. Their initial meetings were promising. David seemed genuinely impressed by her research, asking detailed questions that showed a deep understanding of quantum communication principles. But something had changed. Last week, Hannah discovered fragments of her algorithm in a recent Stellar Horizon patent filing. At first, she couldn't believe her eyes. The code was nearly identical to her own, with only minor modifications that attempted to disguise its true origin. Her heart raced as she compared the documents, each comparison confirming her worst fears. She remembered the late-night meetings, the shared research documents, the seemingly innocent conversations where David would ask her to explain complex theoretical concepts. Now she realized those conversations were carefully orchestrated to extract her most valuable intellectual property. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. Hannah had trusted David. They had shared coffee, discussed scientific theories, and even laughed together during team lunches. Now she understood it had all been a calculated strategy to steal her life's work. Her hands began to shake, but her mind was crystal clear. She wouldn't let this corporate theft go unchallenged. Stellar Horizon might have powerful lawyers and extensive resources, but Hannah had something more powerful: the truth and an unbreakable determination. In the quiet of her laboratory, surrounded by humming computer servers and complex scientific equipment, Hannah made a decision. She would expose David Park and Stellar Horizon Corporation. They would pay for every line of code they had stolen, for every moment of her hard work they had appropriated. She opened a secure communication channel and began collecting evidence. Screenshots, code comparisons, email threads. Everything would be meticulously documented. Hannah knew that in the world of corporate technology, evidence was everything. Her phone buzzed. A message from her younger brother asking about dinner plans. For a moment, Hannah felt a pang of guilt. Her pursuit of justice would consume her, leaving little room for personal life. But she couldn't let this injustice stand. The quantum communication algorithm represented more than just a technological advancement. It was a potential game-changer for global communication, capable of transmitting data across vast distances with unprecedented speed and security. In the wrong hands, it could be manipulated, controlled, used for corporate gain rather than scientific progress. Hannah's research had always been about pushing human potential forward. She believed technology should serve humanity, not be a tool for corporate exploitation. Now she would fight to ensure her vision remained pure. As the morning light began to fill the laboratory, Hannah compiled her first set of evidence. Her face was calm, her movements precise. She wasn't just preparing a legal case. She was building a weapon of truth that would dismantle the corporate machinery that had attempted to steal her dream. David Park might have thought he could outsmart her, but he had severely underestimated Hannah Kim. This was more than a battle over an algorithm. This was a fight for scientific integrity, for the fundamental principle that innovation should be protected, respected, and celebrated. The first phase of her plan was complete. Evidence gathered. Resolve strengthened. The fight was just beginning. In the weeks following her discovery, Hannah transformed her small apartment into a strategic operations center. Thick curtains blocked outside views, and multiple computer screens lined the walls, creating a web of digital intelligence gathering. Her first step was creating ARIA, an advanced AI system designed to penetrate Stellar Horizon's communication networks. Unlike typical corporate tracking software, ARIA was different. Hannah had programmed it with complex learning algorithms that could adapt and evolve, mimicking human investigative patterns. Each night, while the city slept, ARIA worked silently. It scanned hundreds of thousands of digital communication channels, searching for patterns, cross-referencing data, and building a comprehensive profile of Stellar Horizon's internal operations. Hannah's brother, Michael, became her unexpected ally. A cybersecurity expert working for a government technology department, he provided crucial insights without directly involving himself in her investigation. Their late-night video calls were carefully coded, discussing strategies that sounded like casual sibling conversations. Her approach was methodical. She knew confronting a powerful corporation required more than emotional rage. She needed concrete, irrefutable evidence that would stand up in both corporate and legal investigations. ARIA began identifying potential whistleblowers within Stellar Horizon. These were employees who might have access to critical information, individuals who felt marginalized or frustrated with the company's internal practices. Hannah's strategy wasn't about forcing confessions, but creating a network of potential allies. She spent hours studying corporate legal frameworks, understanding the intricate rules of intellectual property rights. Her research was extensive, covering international technology transfer regulations, patent laws, and corporate misconduct statutes. Michael occasionally warned her about the risks. "These corporations have resources you can't imagine," he would say during their encrypted calls. But Hannah remained undeterred. Her scientific training had taught her that systematic approach always triumphs over brute force. ARIA's capabilities grew exponentially. It could now predict communication patterns, identify potential document leaks, and create virtual profiles of key Stellar Horizon executives. Each piece of information was carefully documented, time-stamped, and verified. Hannah's personal life became secondary. Meals were quick, sleep was minimal. Her apartment looked more like a high-tech surveillance center than a living space. Whiteboards filled with complex diagrams, connection maps, and algorithmic flow charts covered entire walls. She knew David Park would be watching. Any direct approach would trigger their corporate defense mechanisms. Her strategy required patience, precision, and an element of unexpected surprise. ARIA developed a unique communication protocol that could slip through corporate firewalls undetected. It wasn't about stealing information, but creating subtle disruptions that would eventually reveal larger systemic vulnerabilities. Weeks turned into months. Hannah's determination never wavered. She understood that her fight was larger than personal revenge. It was about protecting scientific integrity, preventing corporate technological theft, and ensuring that innovation remained a collaborative human endeavor. Her network slowly expanded. Former colleagues, research associates, and even anonymous technology enthusiasts began providing subtle pieces of information, not through direct communication, but through carefully constructed digital breadcrumbs that ARIA could track and analyze. The AI system started mapping the entire communication ecosystem of Stellar Horizon. It wasn't just collecting data, it was understanding the human dynamics, the unspoken tensions, the potential weak points in their corporate structure. Hannah knew the real battle would be in the courtroom. But before that, she needed to build an impenetrable case. Every digital trace, every communication fragment, every potential evidence point was meticulously collected and verified. Her apartment had transformed from a living space to a command center of technological rebellion. The soft hum of servers, the flickering screens, and the occasional beep from ARIA created a symphony of quiet determination. David Park and Stellar Horizon thought they had won. They believed their corporate machinery could suppress individual innovation. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Hannah Kim was preparing for war, and her weapon was pure, unfiltered truth. The interstellar judicial complex stood like a gleaming monument of human justice, its transparent walls reflecting the morning sunlight. Inside the main courtroom, Hannah Kim sat quietly, her hands folded neatly on the polished wooden table. Beside her, a holographic display of ARIA projected subtle data streams that only she could fully comprehend. Stellar Horizon's legal team arrived precisely at 9:00 a.m. 5 lawyers in perfectly pressed dark suits, each carrying expensive digital briefcases that hummed with advanced encryption technology. David Park sat among them, looking confident but slightly nervous. Judge Michael Kim, no relation to Hannah, adjusted his augmented reality glasses, scanning the initial documents. His reputation for handling complex technological litigation was well known throughout the legal community. Hannah's first official statement was simple and direct. Your Honor, Stellar Horizon Corporation has systematically stolen proprietary quantum communication technology developed entirely through my independent research. The courtroom felt heavy with tension. Her words were measured, each sentence constructed like a precise mathematical equation. ARIA silently processed background information, ready to support any claims with instant digital evidence. Stellar Horizon's lead attorney, Richard Lee, attempted to dismiss her claims. My client has developed independent technology through standard research processes, he stated confidently. But confidence meant little against hard evidence. Hannah's presentation began methodically. She demonstrated how specific algorithm sequences in Stellar Horizon's patent filing matched her original research down to microscopic coding variations. The holographic displays showed complex mathematical progressions, revealing undeniable similarities. ARIA started projecting communication logs, emails, research notes, collaborative meeting transcripts. Each document showed a clear trail of how David Park had gradually extracted her technological innovations. The corporate lawyers shifted uncomfortably. Their digital defense systems were being systematically dismantled by Hannah's meticulously prepared case. What they thought was a simple intellectual property dispute was transforming into a comprehensive exposure of corporate misconduct. Judge Michael Kim's expression remained neutral, but his augmented reality display showed him analyzing every presented piece of evidence with increasing interest. He recognized this wasn't just another routine technology lawsuit. David Park's confident demeanor began crumbling. Small beads of sweat formed on his forehead, visible to everyone in the courtroom. He realized Hannah had prepared far more thoroughly than anyone had anticipated. Hannah's argument went beyond personal revenge. She framed her case as a broader challenge to corporate technological theft. This isn't about me, she explained. This is about protecting scientific innovation and ensuring fair research practices. ARIA continued presenting evidence, cross-referencing documents with timestamps, showing how specific research concepts had been transferred from Hannah's original work to Stellar Horizon's patent filings. The first day of legal proceedings concluded with a clear message. Hannah Kim was not a typical plaintiff. She was a scientist who had transformed her betrayal into a strategic legal assault. During a brief recess, reporters surrounded her. How did you prepare such comprehensive evidence? One asked. Hannah simply smiled, knowing that her months of quiet preparation had created this moment. Stellar Horizon's legal team huddled privately, discussing potential counter-strategies. But their usual corporate manipulation tactics seemed ineffective against Hannah's systematically constructed case. As evening approached, Judge Michael Kim scheduled additional hearings. He recognized that this case could potentially reshape technological intellectual property regulations. David Park avoided eye contact with Hannah, understanding that his professional reputation was hanging by a thread. The confident engineer who had once felt untouchable now looked like a cornered individual. The legal battle had officially begun, and Hannah Kim had made it clear she was fighting not just for herself, but for every independent researcher who had ever been exploited by corporate machinery. Her quiet determination had transformed a personal betrayal into a landmark legal challenge that would be remembered in technological and legal circles for years to come. The courtroom buzzed with electric tension as David Park took the witness stand. His crisp white shirt was slightly wrinkled, revealing the stress beneath his carefully maintained exterior. Hannah sat just 3 meters away, her gaze steady and unblinking. Judge Michael Kim leaned forward, his augmented reality glasses scanning every micro-expression of the witness. Araya, Hana's AI system, began processing David's statements in real time, comparing them against thousands of archived communications. "Mr. Park," the prosecutor began, "please explain how your quantum communication algorithm was developed." David's explanation started smoothly. He described collaborative research, theoretical discussions, and independent development. But with each sentence, subtle inconsistencies began to emerge. ARIS silently worked, overlaying holographic displays that only the judge could see. Green lines connected statements to contradictory evidence, creating a complex web of digital truth tracking. Hana remained perfectly calm. She had prepared for this moment meticulously, understanding that courtroom battles are won through patience and precision. The first crack in David's testimony appeared when he claimed a specific research breakthrough occurred in March. Araya instantly projected timestamp documents showing Hana had documented the exact same concept 6 months earlier. Judge Kim's eyebrow raised slightly. The digital evidence was compelling, almost theatrical in its precision. "Can you explain this discrepancy?" the prosecutor asked, pointing to a complex mathematical sequence that matched Hana's original research almost perfectly. David's confidence began to crumble. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead. His carefully prepared narrative was falling apart, exposed by cold, digital precision. Araya continued its silent assault. Communication logs, research notes, email exchanges, each piece of evidence created a devastating portrait of technological theft. The AI system wasn't just presenting information, it was constructing an irrefutable narrative of corporate misconduct. Stellar Horizon's legal team looked increasingly uncomfortable. Their strategy of denial was collapsing under the weight of systematic digital evidence. I might have referenced some earlier research," David finally admitted, his voice losing its previous confidence. The prosecutor pressed further. Each question was like a surgical instrument, cutting through layers of corporate deception. David's responses became shorter, more defensive. Hana watched silently. This wasn't just about personal vindication. She was challenging an entire system of corporate technological exploitation. Araya projected a final piece of evidence, a complete timeline showing how specific algorithm concepts had been systematically transferred from Hana's original research to Stellar Horizon's patent filing. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Kim's augmented reality display showed a comprehensive breakdown of the evidence. The digital reconstruction was devastating in its clarity. "Mr. Park," the judge spoke, his voice calm but loaded with judicial authority, "your explanation seems fundamentally inconsistent with the presented evidence." David Park looked defeated. The confident engineer who had once believed he could manipulate the system now understood the full weight of his actions. Hana's legal team had constructed more than a case. They had created a comprehensive exposure of corporate technological theft. The first day of David's testimony concluded with Stellar Horizon's credibility in tatters. Media representatives furiously typed reports, understanding they were witnessing a landmark legal moment. Outside the courtroom, technology experts discussed the implications. This wasn't just a legal battle. It was a potential revolution in how corporate research would be conducted. Hana gathered her documents, her movements precise and controlled. She had transformed her personal betrayal into a systemic challenge against corporate misconduct. As she walked out, David Park avoided her gaze. The power dynamics had completely shifted. The courtroom confrontation had reached its critical moment, and Hana Kim had made it clear individual innovation would no longer be silently stolen. Justice, it seemed, had found its digital voice. 2 weeks after the final court hearing, the technology world watched as Stellar Horizon Corporation collapsed. The judicial ruling was unprecedented. Complete dismantling of the corporate structure, massive financial penalties, and criminal charges against its top executives. Hana Kim stood on the steps of the judicial complex, surrounded by supporters and technology journalists. Her quantum communication algorithm was no longer just a stolen piece of research. It was now recognized as a breakthrough that could transform global communication systems. The media called her a hero. Research institutions around the world began studying her legal strategy, seeing it as a landmark moment for independent researchers fighting corporate theft. David Park's career was effectively over. His professional reputation had been completely destroyed by the comprehensive evidence presented during the trial. He would never work in high-level technology research again. Hanna's original research was fully restored and fast-tracked for global implementation. Governments and private technology companies began requesting licenses to develop her quantum communication technology. Araya, the AI system she had developed during her investigation, became a secondary breakthrough. Technology experts recognized it as a revolutionary approach to digital forensic analysis. Her brother Michael watched the proceedings with quiet pride. He understood better than anyone the magnitude of what Hanna had accomplished. This was more than a legal victory. It was a systemic challenge to corporate misconduct. International technology regulations began changing. New laws were proposed that would provide stronger protections for independent researchers. Hanna's case became a critical reference point for future legal discussions. Research institutions started implementing stricter collaboration guidelines. The days of casual research sharing without comprehensive documentation were ending. During a press conference, Hanna remained humble. "This isn't about personal victory," she told journalists. "This is about protecting scientific innovation and ensuring fair research practices." Her quantum communication algorithm promised something extraordinary: the ability to transmit complex data across vast distances with unprecedented speed and security. It could potentially revolutionize global communication systems. Technology companies that once viewed independent researchers as easy targets now understood the potential consequences of intellectual property theft. The financial impact was massive. Stellar Horizons' collapse triggered a significant restructuring in the technology sector. Other corporations began reviewing their research collaboration practices, afraid of similar legal challenges. Hanna continued her research, now with significant institutional support. Universities and technology centers offered her unprecedented resources and research opportunities. Her personal story became an inspiration for young researchers. She demonstrated that individual determination could challenge even the most powerful corporate structures. Araya continued evolving, becoming a sophisticated tool for digital forensic analysis. Technology experts began studying its unique approach to information processing. The quantum communication algorithm was gradually implemented across various global communication networks. Each implementation brought new improvements, validating Hanna's original research. David Park disappeared from public view. The once celebrated engineer became a cautionary tale about the consequences of technological theft. International technology conferences began discussing Hanna's case as a critical moment in research ethics. Her approach to gathering and presenting evidence was studied as a model of systematic legal strategy. Government technology departments started developing new guidelines for research collaboration, directly inspired by the revelations in her case. Hanna remained focused on future innovations. The legal battle had been important, but she viewed it as just one chapter in her broader mission to advance technological understanding. Her quantum communication technology promised to connect human communication systems in ways previously unimaginable. Researchers around the world began exploring its potential applications. The revolution wasn't just legal or technological. It was a statement about the power of individual innovation against corporate machinery. As the sun set on the day of her final legal victory, Hanna understood something profound. Her fight was never just about personal revenge. It was about protecting the fundamental integrity of scientific research. The world of technology would never be the same, and it all started with one researcher's determination to fight back.